Famalicao unwrapped the champagne, but it was Benfica that popped the cork with a 3-0 lead to finish out the year. Also, our favorite time of the year is on. Winter transfer is open. Can't wait for all the rumors. We'll catch you up with everything that's been going on, and also we'll look ahead to who do we got?
Arouca.
We look ahead to Arouca. That's right. All in that, another night, another podcast.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Quero Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero um manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio. E estamos, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo Famalicao. Benfica podcast is a member of Benfica Independent Network. We're one of the founding members. Please don't forget to check them out. With us, as always, Dave De Oliveira. Dave, what's happening, Dave? What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, Alfredo? What's going on, Freddy's? Happy New Year's
Happy New
to
Year.
you, Alfredo, and to the Freddy's there. Hopefully,
That's right.
2024 picks up where 2023 left us with 2 titles, and so maybe we get 2, 3, 4. You know, I'm still it's still Christmas time. We're still being generous, so let's hope for more titles again.
That's right. That's right. No Chris tonight. Chris is, I don't know. I lost, I can't come up with any more excuses for Chris. Try to be funny and come up with some excuses.
It's winter transfer.
He's just
season.
not here.
You know, he's out. He's out. He's out in the market.
He's working his sources.
He's working the sources. He's giving Benfica the scouting reports. He always knows everything about the players that Benfica should go get. So he's on an official assignment scouting some players, and he'll be back here hopefully soon to give us a full report on the players that he scouted.
Yeah, that's right. Hello, all the Freddies. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for those of you who will be listening to us a little later, whether podcast form or watching our video on YouTube. Here we are, another night, another podcast off of our New Year's celebration. I hope everyone had a good New Year, didn't get in trouble in terms of the law, or Dave and I were just talking about New Year's Eve and the stress of being out in the street and having to drive around that time. But certainly I hope that everybody, everything worked out for everyone. You celebrated, you welcomed the new year with the 12 raisins or passas, as it's customary in Portugal. And also that the new year brings you double of what last year brought you, especially the good things, not the bad things. You don't want double of the bad things. You want the good things. So it's a new
Only
year.
Positives.
Yeah.
Only positives here on the Benfica podcast.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching a Portuguese channel, and they do kind of like a recap and a nightly news, a recap of the year. And one of the segments was actually they were talking about COVID, right? So COVID was first reported 2019? I think it was first reported 2019. Yep. And it made me think a little bit of a retrospective moment in terms of looking, in terms of as a race. I think human beings are very they're very interesting, but we're very adaptable in terms of dealing with the things that are thrown at us. I think that there's a lot of things that human beings are capable of, and I hope that 2024 is something that human beings are capable of doing good things, of being peaceful with each other, being good to each other, COVID. I think COVID brought us a little bit together, especially early on. But I think it ended up pushing people to different opposite poles. But I do hope that that 2024 is a much different year, and you look back and see how all the things that you have accomplished, and all the things that you got past, all the challenges that you were able to beat, and all the little wins that you got, the little wins and the big wins that you got personally and professionally. So all wishes of an excellent 2024 for everyone. Thank you for joining us once again in this new year. And here we are. Also for Benfica, of course, right? Like Dave said, many trophies, many titles to come in 2024, and that's what we hope to see from Benfica. On tonight's podcast, Famalicao Recap, the last game of the season at Stadio Luz. We'll also look ahead to Arouca, which comes up this Saturday, and the winter transfer window is open. We'll catch you up with all the comings and goings, all the rumors, everything that's been confirmed. So we're here to catch you up. Thanks again for your support, as always. Let's turn our attention now to the Famalicao game. I'll give you the lineup. We'll get started. Trubin was in goal. Auschnitz, Araújo, Silva, and Morato. Neves and Kokshu, João Mário, Gouveia, Rafa, and Cabral. Dave, a few changes here. Otamendi was suspended, serving a yellow card accumulation suspension. So he sat. Tomás Araújo came in. Nothing much else different on the back line. But we saw Gouveia, and the absence of Di Maria, who was given extra time to celebrate and rest with his family. New Year's, we saw Gouveia. People were clamoring for Gouveia, and here he was, starting for Benfica. And Dave, what did you? I guess before I get into the game, I'll ask you, what'd you think of Gouveia, man? Because people were clamoring. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought this was a good reward. Let's say it for Gouveia, right? The little glimpses that we've seen from him coming off the bench has only left a good taste in our mouth, and we wanted to see more of him. I think we discussed at the end of last podcast that it was between either him or Gej. I thought he was going to give it to Gej and get Gouveia off the bench, but I'm not disappointed to kind of reward Gouveia with the start. And I think he did pretty well. You can see that. I don't know if it's that the team wants to get him going, or it's to get him involved in the play. But I like what I've seen in the small sample size from Gouveia. One to attack and create plays individually. So I like what I've seen. On the other end, you can make the case that Gej is just falling further and further down the pecking order there. I know he's only here on a loan, but when he was initially brought in last January, there was a lot of expectations that he'd be able to turn it around here with Benfica, not only for his own career, but also contribute in a more positive way for the club. And we really haven't seen that yet from Gonzalo Gej, but still second half of the season to play. But for the positive that we're giving Gouveia, there's got to be some concerns that Gej isn't getting on the mark here. So,
yeah, no, and I think the biggest thing with Gej is still he's struggling in terms of he's struggling in terms of form. Right, I think that he's not 100% physically. These injuries have really set him back. I think that a player that depends so much on explosiveness, when you have injuries like the one he's had, are things that hamper you. He doesn't look like he's very, very. How can I say this? Very limber, I should say. It just feels like he's kind of very rusty, very his range of motion is not what he used to be, or at 100%, or maybe he hasn't gotten there yet. He's still working towards that. You add that with the fact that he's always been a player that's somewhat inconsistent, and you have a Gonçalo Guedes that presently is not a much bigger option than Gouveia, regardless of whether Gouveia is below him on the pecking order or not. But I think when you look at Gonçalo Guedes and how he's shown so far, you got to think that Gonçalo Guedes is not at 100% in terms of mobility, in terms of agility. I just don't think that he's there, and Gouveia got the start. I got to be honest with Gouveia. I thought the first 15 minutes were very interesting for him. He had a couple of good runs, a couple things where he was trying to do everything, lost the ball, and I think he kind of like he faded into the bushes like Homer Simpson. So not much of a huge contribution for him. I thought those first 15 minutes were okay, but if you need to cement your spot in the lineup, or if you want to be considered as somebody right off the bench, I just don't think that he took advantage of the opportunity. Yes, it's good to get the start. I just don't think he made the most out of it. And he ended up getting subbed on the 70th minute. But let's get into the game. Big Rafa miss in the 6th minute. Cabral got his first goal in the 31st minute at Stadio Luz off of an assist by Rafa. It was an okay half. I don't think that Benfica was overly dominant in the half, but we did have the initiative. There was some sloppy passing that didn't help with the flow of combinations that we were trying to do, and a couple of chances that we created, we weren't able to put away. But I thought that the 1-0 was a fair result going into the half. Dave, what'd you think?
Yeah, almost Benfica. I know you had mentioned Gouveia having a strong 15 minutes to start off the game. I would say the same thing about Benfica as well, that they really pushed forward, and I think we're unlucky to not score there in the first 15 minutes. And then afterwards, I felt like the team kind of put it in cruise control. They were kind of just going through the motions at second half, the second part of the first half there. Fortunately, we did get a goal to go up at halftime.
Yeah.
And always good to see Cabral get off the schneid there and get his first goal of the Portuguese league. But with Gouveia too, I thought he was a little bit sloppy with some of his challenges that he made. I had to go double check because I could have sworn he picked up a yellow, but he didn't. But there were a couple of challenges where I thought he was very fortunate to have picked up a yellow. But I guess they're all just part of growing pains and just going trying to get him going here if he is to getting a.
Yeah. No changes for the second half. The second half was a different story. Famalicao had most of the initiative, and it seems that Benfica was just happy giving Famalicao the initiative. You got a couple goal-saving saves by Trubin inside the first 15, 16 minutes of the second half. In the 70th minute, Roger Schmidt, seeing what was going on, made 3 substitutions. Guedes came in for Gouveia, Tino came in from Kokshu, and Musa came in for Cabral. So basically a straight swap, positional swap. Then in the 74th minute, Jurasek came in for Auschnitz. And then in the 85th minute, against the run of play, I guess you could say that, Rafa got a goal off of a Musa assist for the Benfica's 2-0. And then 89th minute, 3-0, Musa off of a Rafa assist. I think that Benfica is fortunate to come out of the second half with the result that they did. You look at the scoreline. The scoreline is not reflective of what happened in the second line. I thought that the second half, I thought that Famalicao could have and should have had a goal or two, but Trubin really came up big. And Dave, at this point, I don't think there's any questions about in terms of what Trubin brings to this team, or even anybody questioning Trubin, and Trubin being Benfica's undisputed number one at this point.
For sure, and we're approaching almost the halfway mark of the season. And if I had to give an MVP so far for the first half of the season, I know João Neves is the golden boy that everyone likes to talk about, but Trubin is quietly having himself an MVP caliber season on this team. Has saved us multiple games, multiple points. That at the end of the year, all these points and goals stopping saves that he's been making, they add up at the end of the season.
Yeah,
you can look at it on the other end, right? Not to fault other keepers that may or may not have been here before, but a lot of those I feel like would have gone in the past, and this game is no different. Just he's quietly doing his work. He's making these saves, saving us goals that ultimately save us from dropping points. And I think if the way he's going, he's going to be up there in terms of making his case for MVP, at least with this Benfica team, because really nobody else has stood up. I don't know if that's him making his case, or it's other players not performing, but he's been rock solid.
Yeah, no, and it's often said that a good measure of a good keeper is when you spent 85 minutes of the game watching the game, and then all of a sudden you're called to make a hard save, and you're there. You're there, and you respond, and you do what you're supposed to do. And that's what Trubin has done for us this season. At times where he's mostly a spectator, and then he's called on, and he makes huge saves. He's made some huge saves in this Famalicao game, and I think that it was a bit unjust for Famalicao to not score, or not be on a score line, or not even the score line reflecting a much closer game than it was, because it was a very close game in terms of the way they played, not so much on the result. As I mentioned, the result 3-0 is misleading, but I do think that Famalicao could use or needed that reward really for that. They played a couple interesting players, Dave, and we talk about always that Benfica shouldn't really shun the domestic market. A couple good players on that team. I like Mourão, right? Is it Mourão? Mora. I like Mora. I like the other young kid that plays in the middle, Gustavo. They have a couple interesting players on this team, and I thought that they were really hard pressed for not getting a goal. So, Dave, stats, so we can move.
Yeah, stats here. Benfica equals their best winning streak of the year with their fourth consecutive victory with the 3-0 scoreline here. It was Rafa's 300th appearance for Benfica, and he got a goal and 2 assists in this match. In those 300 appearances, he's made 233 starts, 81 goals scored, 60 assists and 7 titles. And super sub Musa off the bench and scores his 16th career goal for Benfica. 12 of those 16 have come from when he comes off the bench, so definitely has that super sub title to his name.
Yeah, and Rafa was voted the player of the match by Benfica TV or journalists or whatever at the end of the game in the presser. He did say some words. He was asked about what was his 300 game, Dave? He was asked about his 300 game, and he ended up going on, I enjoy playing with my teammates. I like being around them, and he said something along the lines, I'm going to miss him. Which kind of like now all of a sudden it opens the door of all these questions. What's going to happen with Rafa? He's at the end of his contract. Does he leave now and Benfica stands to make some money? Or does he leave at the end of the season? It seems to me that there is a clear impasse in terms of uh, the negotiations for the renewal, if there's any negotiations, right? Um, one could. I made a joke before to Chris. I was talking to Chris before, and I always said that Rafa has impeccable timing. He has impeccable timing in his finishes, and he has impeccable timing in the way of his words. Right. So, but to me, it really feels that there's an impasse between the club and the player in terms of agreeing. I heard that he wants a 3 million signing bonus or a 2 million signing bonus. I just don't. I don't know. I was talking to Chris, and Chris was saying, Benfica can't. I understand Rafa and the frustration with Rafa, but right now Benfica can't afford to lose Rafa because Rafa is one of the few players that does something, albeit not completed. But he's the one of the guys that could hurt defenses, that could create mismatches, that with his little touches could put a guy through. He had 2 assists this past game. So these are the things that Rafa brings to Benfica right now, and Benfica doesn't really have anyone. So I guess you can make the argument for, should Benfica get rid of him right now, or do we let the contract run its course to the end of the season, and then we make a decision? Obviously, Rafa wants his future decided as soon as possible, right? Because he wants to know whether he has to go elsewhere or stay in Portugal or whatever. But I think that, and you guys all know my opinion about Rafa, I think that we shouldn't renew with Rafa. I just think that it's time to move on from Rafa. I've had enough. He's inconsistent for me, but that's just my personal opinion. There's guys that love him. There's guys that love Rafa. There's guys that love what Rafa brings on the pitch to the team. I think we could do without him, but I do recognize that he's a guy that could shake things up and that could make a difference. Sometimes for the best, sometimes for the worst. But that is what you get with Rafa. You get the good and the bad. So it's a whole package. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but certainly, and we'll talk about it in a little bit in terms of the transfer window, but that was the one thing that now all the media is talking about in terms of what's Rafa's future. Is there a rift between Benfica and the direção with Rafa, that they're not agreements? Is this going to be a same situation as Grimaldo? This is nowhere near, for me, the same situation as Grimaldo, but we'll see. We're gonna see how it develops here. But Dave, next up we got Arouca. We'll play them on Saturday, 6 p.m. local in Arouca. We don't play home. Or do we play home, Dave? No, we go away.
It's
right?
away.
Yeah. What's Arouca up to so far this season?
They are currently. I have to double check this. I think I got this wrong. I've got them here at 7th, but I think they were farther down.
Yeah, they're further down.
There than that. They are in 10th currently in the table with 16 points from 4 wins, 4 draws, and 7 defeats. Coming into this match, undefeated in 5 across all competitions, 3 wins, 2 draws. We've already played them this season in the Taça da Liga, a 2-0 victory with goals from Di Maria and Cabral. And historically, we've got the number on them: 14 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat in the previous 16.
Yeah, it's always tough to play in Arouca. As you mentioned, they've the past 5 games undefeated with 3 wins, 2 ties. 15 goals scored, but only 5 allowed in those 5 games. So quite a good output in terms of goals for Arouca the past 5 games. I think it's going to be another hard game for Benfica. Up north, small pitch, weather conditions sometimes not favorable. Pitch could be heavy. These are always the games that I look at, and you look at and you say, these are the 3 points that will get us up there. And I think that this is going to turn out to be another game where it's going to be a very difficult game for Benfica, and Benfica needs to be on their top to be able to beat Arouca, because it's not going to be an easy game. We're almost at the turn, and we need to continue the chase, the Sporting chase, and continue to be consistency in our run. Dave, what do you think? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I hope for our sake we get a quick goal there, or at least a goal before half time. But I think I'm sharing the same feelings as you, Alfredo. These trips where we got to go up north in the cold, especially now during the winter season here, always tough for this squad. So I'm thinking a 1-0 score line, if especially if they don't get that quick goal. If they get a quick goal, then things will open up. But
yeah,
I'm thinking a 1-0 score line here.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. I don't think it's. I'm with you, man. I don't think it's going to be that big of a score line. It's going to be very contested. Every ball contested. Every challenge is going to be up for it. I think it's going to be a difficult game for Benfica. So we'll just have to keep pressing on and keep building on what we've done so far and up until this point. And this is another tough game. Another tough game for Benfica. Dave, our second favorite time of the year is upon us. Winter transfer window. Right? All the fontanarios and the sources and the insiders, they're up. Let me catch you up with what we know so far. Right? So Prestiani signed with Benfica. I think that is not made official, but official. He will join at the end of January. João Vitor, permanent move to Vasco da Gama for $6 million. Lucas Veríssimo, which I believe we had talked about last week, $8 million to Corinthians. So Benfica getting some of that money back on both of those players. Today, the latest rumor is Marcos Leonardo from Santos, 20-year-old forward. Santos was demoted to Serie B. Rui Pedro Braz is in Brazil. He was photographed with the Santos president, and the Santos president said that Benfica has made a formal offer for the player. Between 15 and 20 million is what the Bola is reporting. Apparently, the player had an agreement with the president that stated that if an offer comes in for 18 or more, that Santos would let him go. So this is what's going on. And Santos right now is not in the best position to be negotiating or to play hardball. They need that money because they need to get back up to the first division from Brazil. Jurasek, apparently there's some interest in France. Loan deal. Rollheiser, the Argentinian winger from Estudiantes. There's rumors that Benfica is negotiating. As a matter of fact, I think there was another president from another Brazilian club that stated that spoke to Rui Costa, and Rui Costa said that he was negotiating with Rollheiser, but there's a good chance that he won't come until next season. Álvaro Fernandes, which is a Spanish left back, owned by Man U but on loan at Granada, is Benfica's rumored to be looking at him to fill that left back gap. And it looks like Gabriel is coming back. Is going to be returned from Botafogo and is coming back to Benfica this winter. I think I covered everything, Dave. Am I missing anything? Marcos Leonardo, Lucas Veríssimo, Jurasek, Rollheiser, João Vitor, Álvaro Fernandes, Prestiani, and Gabriel. We're one day into the transfer window. We already got these many names to be looking at. Obviously, Benfica cleaning house in their center back position with João Vitor and Veríssimo out of the way. I think when you look at what we have in house in terms of center backs, I think that we're pretty good right now with Muratu, Araújo, Tony Silva, Otamendi. The one kid that came in against Famalicao at the end of the game to play right back, Gustavo Marques. he's also a center back, even though he went in and played right back. Word on the street or word out there is that Marcos Leonardo is a crack. 20-year-old, as I mentioned, has a knack for goal scoring. Still a young player. Young players coming out of Brazil is always tough. There's an adaptation period. I was talking to Chris earlier. He did say that this is the type of player who could just come in and play. And we certainly hope that he has that quality and that talent to do that. But a young kid, different country, high transfer fee. There's a lot that goes into a player's head when that's going on. So, Dave, I don't know if you know this kid or if you just know him by name. I don't know if you had the time to research on YouTube to watch some scouting highlights.
No bother watching YouTube highlights because, like we always say, I'm sure Gilberto and all these other guys have great, fantastic YouTube highlight reels, right? But interested to see what he can bring. High price tag at 18 million. I feel like, and like we've said, you can't miss on these 15 to 20 plus million signings, right? Young kid, so I don't know. It feels like it's a lottery ticket anytime we sign a young Brazilian, especially, right? So I'm not gonna stand here and say I know everything about the kid or know anything for that matter, but just from the sounds of it, 18 is a very risky deal, especially when ready to spend 20 on Cabral for the same position. But hopefully one of them can get going and we can start recouping some of that money here too.
Yeah, and Chad, I did get that right? It's Marcos Leonardo, not Leandro, right? Yeah. As I don't know if he's made his debut for the Canarinha yet, but certainly I've seen him with the jersey on, so it might be on youth teams. But certainly a huge prospect coming out of Brazil. I didn't see the stats, but I think it said something like 40 something games and 21 goals in those games. And I was telling Dave this. So when Gesualdo coached Santos. When Gesualdo coached Santos, this was maybe a year and a half ago. Tony's son, I think is Antonio Oliveira. He was the assistant, and he was saying that he saw this kid in the formation, and he convinced Gesualdo to bring him up. And at the time, they had a chock full of good players in the squad, and it was really hard to get him up. But apparently, came up, he impressed, and what he was saying, and this was an interview to Record, which I saw earlier. He was saying that he's a player that has a knack for goal, as I mentioned before, and that it's either the European Sharks are either looking for the right opportunity or they're sleeping. He said that the kid's a really good quality prospect that can make a difference right away and that could score tons of goals. So we'll see what happens, but that's the biggest rumor right now in Benfica world in terms of who's coming. Nobody else is really rumored, but there's an offer for Rollheiser from what I understand. There's already an offer for this kid, Marcos Leonardo. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. What else, Dave? What else do we got to talk about? I spoke to Cristiano earlier, and Cristiano was excited. Cristiano's in the chat, by the way. I spoke to Cristiano earlier. Cristiano mentioned that he's excited about Gabriel because he's the type of guy that brings you something that we don't have in the midfield. He's a guy that could defend as well as build. So think about it as Tino, but with the ability to build up. That's how Chris looked at it, and I said, "Well, look, let's see what happens when he comes back and he starts training." And I don't know if Roger Schmidt has has any plans to keep him, but certainly with Chiquinho also rumored to maybe going towards the Middle East. Maybe there's an opportunity for Gabriel. I don't know. Mike Madrid says
one player you forgot is Musa is apparently might be on the move.
Oh yeah,
out.
There was rumors that somebody in was it Italy? Was it
in Italy somewhere? There's a club in Italy that was interested.
Yeah.
I want to say either Genoa or
Yeah.
Bologna, one of those clubs.
Yeah. Let's get to something here from the chat. Mike Madrid is asking, is Cabral leaving? I don't know. I think there was there might be some interest for him, but I don't know. Everything is high right now. Diogo Rey says very high price tag for a guy who just helped relegate his team. I don't know if he helped relegate his team. Certainly didn't help him stay up for sure. Nuno M says he's a U20 captain for the national team of Brazil. Nuno M says Brazil number 9 position looks good. Endrick, Vitor Roque, Marcos Leandro. So I don't know. I mean, everything that I'm hearing is that he's a good player, good prospect, can make a difference. There was even people comparing him to Falcao. And we know what happened with that. We were supposed to get Falcao. Falcao was, you guys maybe may have not been around that time, but Falcao was initially connected to Benfica, and Benfica was going to sign Falcao, but the story was that there were spies at Benfica, and they were telling Porto how much money Benfica was willing to offer, and Porto would just sweep in and offer more. And I think that's how Benfica lost Falcao. I think that's how Benfica lost the other Uruguayan right back with the dreadlocks or with the trancinhas that I don't remember who it was now. Alvaro something. Chris will know. Chris, help me out. What was the Uruguayan right back that ended up playing at Porto that we were supposed to get? I forget who it was, but yeah. So look, if he's as good as Falcao, man, it'll be good. Alvaro Pereira. That's it. That's it. Alvaro Pereira. Yeah. So that was at the time. That was the rumor. That anytime that Benfica was interested in a player, Porto knew exactly how much Benfica was going to put on the table, and they would just do Benfica one more. Left back, Alvaro Pereira. Could have marked a generation for us at a left back, Alvaro Pereira. Coentrão probably would have never been a left back had we had Alvaro Pereira, so it was for the best. What else? I think that's all we got. Dave, you really did all the talking today. 43 minutes. Chris is not here. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Chris is now in the chat.
He's in the chat. He's telling people to go to sleep.
Go to sleep. After who was it here? Diogo Reis said Paulo Bernardo with his second man of the match and a golazo in his last 2 games. Got a reaction out of Chris, but
a goal in the Old Firm.
It is the start of the silly season, so just caution
Hang
what
tight.
you read.
Yeah, do your research.
This is where Fabrizio and all the papers make their money. So, if you want to live and die by every tweet or every article that you read, go for it. But like we always say, until they're posing with the jersey, just take everything.
Until they're posing. Yeah, right. Until they're posing in front of the huge jersey. Don't believe it. Do your research. Look, there's things that are going to be hotter than others. There's things that are going to have more traction. So just keep an eye on that. James Rodrigues, both Brunjil Rodrigues and Cristiano Oliveira said James Rodrigues, it was another situation where Benfica was underbid by Porto. So, good times. I think that's all we got.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este
That was the wrong one. What else can we talk about, Dave? That's it. Cristiano's not here. Não tá aqui pra encher chouriços. We could go. Right, Dave?
I'm good to go. We went over last week.
Yeah,
We
that's
go
right.
short
That
this
last week we were 2 hours.
2 hours short this week. Start the new year off short.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
right.
Keep building.
Make it nice and short. People got shit to do. It's a New Year's. Get back on your horse. Love you guys. Next week we'll be back. We'll break down this Arouca game. We'll look ahead to the game after that, which I don't know.
Braga, Taça.
Braga, that's right. Braga Taça, and then what? We hit the turn, no, Dave? Or we still have somebody else off the Braga?
I believe there's one more.
Yeah.
And I will quickly bring it up here, but there is one more after Braga, which is Rio Ave.
Rio Ave. That's right. All right. Diogo, I already said, Falcão, that's how this conversation started, bro. Falcão, vai dormir, pá. Vai dormir. All right, brothers. Take care, everyone. It was nice to speak to you and be back in this new year. It's been a while. It was since last year I hadn't seen you guys. Bye. Take care, Dave.